guys, it's Sin, Mom here at Rising Above Autism. So this week something happened at our house that I'm going to share, even though I really don't want to share it. I think it's important to share it for two reasons. I think people need to know what really goes on in an autism household. I think people need to see how severe it can be, how at times dangerous. When you have someone that is nonverbal, not understanding what's going on, and then gets really aggressive because they're frustrated or whatever the situation is. And the other reason is because we need everyone to see how really severely impaired our mental health system is, especially when it comes to helping someone with a special need. We need to do something. We need to make some drastic changes or someone's going to be really hurt. Because that's going on in our household all the time. We were hospitalized a month ago and got no help. After 4 days in the ER, they sent us home. Maybe in another video, I'll talk about that situation. But right now I want to focus on what just happened 2 days ago. So Madicyn came home. Madicyn is my 18-year-old, and she came home from school, and she seemed super happy when she got off the bus. And she just did her typical thing. She put her backpack down, she put her shoes away, she went up to her room, and she got her babies and her books that she does every day. When she came down, she was very angry, didn't know what was going on. So I was asking her, do you have this character, out of her babies? Do you have Mickey Mouse? Trying to see if one of her little characters was missing. We went through the whole spiel. Jasmine was there. Daisy Duck was the only thing we could think of because all of a sudden Daisy Duck didn't have a head. We did find her head, and that didn't seem to help the situation at all. Madicyn seemed to get progressively angrier and more aggressive. I had already given her a piece of a medical marijuana cookie. Madicyn has a medical marijuana card now. And that has been the only thing that has helped us. I'm going to talk about that in another video as well, because a lot of people are asking questions about different kinds of meds and have we tried CBD, have we tried marijuana, things like that. The edibles are really working for Madicyn. Usually I cut up 100, I think it's a gram cookie, and I cut it into 8 sections, and she gets 1 section. So she is getting 12.5 milligrams. That wasn't working. Usually takes about an hour for that to work, and then she's calm and focused and not aggressive at all. Well, it wasn't working, so I quickly gave her a second piece, and she still was mad. So I was questioning her as to what was going on, how could I help her, things like that. She grabbed all her books and her babies and chucked them at me, and then proceeded to shred her shirt, which is her normal go-to when she's upset, and then ran into the bathroom, slammed the door hard on me. I went in the bathroom anyway, and she had been screaming for quite a while at the top of her lungs. I'm just trying to understand what is going on and how I can help her. So I kept questioning different things. Nothing seemed to be helping, and then she started attacking me. She attacked me 3 different times. The first 2 times I just handled it, no problem. We have helpers in the house, and so one of the helpers took Ellie upstairs to make sure Ellie was safe. And then Chloe kind of was my go-to person. She was my backup. She kept asking, is it time to call 911 right now? I kept telling her no. Finally, I gave in and said, all right, call, because we can't do this anymore. So she calls 911. 2 police officers show up that had some experience with autism, but not a ton. Madicyn, at this point now, is completely naked and laying on the floor screaming. When the police officer came to the bathroom door, Madicyn slammed it on him. So he put his foot in the door path so that she couldn't shut the door anymore, so she kept punching his foot. So she still hadn't calmed down. We were still very escalated. And this is all while I was standing right next to them, talking to them, letting them know how to deal with her, how to talk to her, and what the situation was, what we think started it or not started it. They asked if I wanted to press charges. No, I don't want to press charges against my daughter. She doesn't understand what's going on. What I wanted was backup. I needed help, and my husband was at work still. You know, we had Chloe and Erica here, but I don't want either of them hurt. I don't want Ellie hurt. So I just thought we should have another person here in case I needed some extra muscle. After they were here for a little bit, they saw that they started talking about how bright red my neck was, and Madicyn had lunged at me and grabbed my throat. I didn't know how red it was, so it didn't faze me at all. So they kind of said, well, if you're not going to press charges, then we're going to have to take matters into our own hands and take her in. And they kind of treated it like someone who was being abused and would not press charges because they were afraid of the person. That was not the situation at all. I just didn't think any of that would help our situation at the time. We were just trying to de-escalate her and keep everyone safe. That's our number one thing, keeping everyone safe. So they said we will have to forcibly take her. Okay. So they called an ambulance and a fire truck. And so now at this point, we have 7 emergency people in our living room, which is very overwhelming. Everyone's asking questions. What really got me is when they said where they were going to take her, what they were going to do. And I said, well, the hospital you want to take her to, last time we were brought by police, told us within 15 minutes they had no help for us, please leave. So I didn't want to go back to that hospital. So then one of the paramedics was asking me other questions. What other hospitals have you tried? So when I started listing all the hospitals that we have tried that have rejected us, because when you're nonverbal, when you're aggressive, hospitals can reject helping you, which is, I think, is ridiculous. That's why we needed help. That paramedic told me that she had been on the job for 21 years, and in 21 years had never seen a case this bad and had never heard of anyone being rejected trying to get help. Sadly, we have lived this scenario over and over the past couple of years. This is why I want to talk about this. This is why we need to change our mental health system, because families are struggling. People are killing their children and then themselves because they are not getting help for their special needs children. So anyway, after that, another police officer came. So now we have 8 emergency people in my living room. And this police officer came in and said, I was with you the last time you took Madicyn to the ER and they rejected her. So he went over and talked to the other 2 police officers who said, you know what, we've got her de-escalating a little bit. If you are comfortable with it, we do not have to send her to the hospital because you're right, you're not going to get any help for her. So I signed off. The paramedics left, the fire department left. They were all wonderfully supportive and amazing people. The police officer called his sergeant, I think it was, and they all said, you know, if we have the situation under control, that's all that we need right now. You guys can leave. So we had to fill out police reports and let them know exactly what happened on paper this time. Madicyn finally calmed down, and about an hour maybe after the police had all left, finally got her to get dressed again and got everything back on track. While all of this is going on, this is one of those things that Rick always says, it's this stuff, it's like too extreme, stuff you won't even believe. We get a phone call. Everybody's so busy doing everything that we didn't answer the phone. So 5 minutes later, we get another phone call. Chloe answers it for me and just starts laughing and says, okay, and runs upstairs and gets a blanket. So while we have naked Madicyn in the bathroom and all of these emergency people in our living room, Charlie had been jumping in the snow at school, and most kids with autism don't like to be wet, even if it's a drop of water. Well, when that snow melted, his shoes, socks, pants, everything was wet. So he stripped down to just a t-shirt, nothing else. And the bus driver and the bus assistant are amazing. They totally get autism. They know that he's not doing this to be bad. This is just a sensory thing. So he was buckled in his seatbelt, butt naked. So we had to, once, thank goodness, everything else had calmed down and we didn't have all the emergency people here while that was going on too. So as soon as the last police car left, the bus pulls up, and we get Charlie safely in the house and back into some clean, dry clothes. So just one of those days that it is so unbelievable that no one would believe that this is my day-to-day real life situation, my family's day-to-day real life situation. Again, I am sharing this not to embarrass my children, not to embarrass our family, but to show people families like ours need help. Families like ours need a better system that is going to actually help. We don't need to, when things are at its worst, we don't need a police escort to take us to a hospital that's not going to help us. The way the system is set up right now where we live, the police would have normally taken us to an ER. That ER would have done a physical to make sure that there was nothing wrong with her physically, and then they would have sent her to a psych hospital. In my area, there are only 2 psych hospitals that will take anyone that has any sort of special needs. And those psych hospitals have denied us because her special needs are too severe because she's nonverbal and because she's aggressive. And they are allowed to do that. Please, if you are listening to this, if this touches you at all, please contact your local politicians and tell them that we need help. We need to change this mental health system because it's not helping people. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you are having a better day than we are.